And today's team meeting, we have a good buddy of mine, a great agent, and it's been awesome seeing him how he's been doing work over the last couple months. Honestly, he's 20 years old. He's going to introduce himself here in a minute. But what you guys do need to know is that Luke, let me find him in here. Where you at, Luke? Let me highlight you.
Yo, boy.
There he is. So for those of you that don't know Luke, Luke has been able to sell. I've been able to witness this. He sold over $80,000 worth of life insurance premium in the last 2 months or so. So drop a one in the chat if that's pretty impressive, being new in the agency. And on top of that,
One.
people will stop right there. He's also been able to bring in 12 new individuals, get them licensed, and get them paid. And it's been amazing to see because he's truly one of the hardest workers that I've seen on the blueprint. He shows in and day out every single day. He's probably on no later than 8, 9 a.m. And he's on with his guys on the front lines until 8, 9, 10 p.m. every single day. So, Luke, if you want to just give these people an introduction, man, tell them what that boy from Cleveland got going on.
He wrapped it up he wrapped it up pretty well. I've been in insurance a little bit before I got to the blueprint, so I had a little experience. So it's not like I'm a brand new agent. So not the most impressive thing. It could be better over 80K sales wise, but I'm more proud of getting my guys paid like Adam Ramsey, Nehemiah. These guys have been killing it, 10K weeks, Jonah as well. And the way I've been able to do that, it's just simply because of the system. It's not me. It comes down to working hard and just sharing the opportunity. So if you're able to get yourself results, you're going to be able to obviously bring that to your social medias, bring guys into the business from that, and just show them the same things you're doing. When you have a high standard for yourself, that translates into your guys. Your guys are only going to do 80% of what you do. So you need to do 120% to get them to where you want to be, or them to be rather. That's kind of my philosophy there.
Big facts. And realistically, I want you to tell these people, like, what does your day-to-day life look like? Like, what does your schedule look like on a consistent basis, bro?
Insurance. That's all it looks like. So wake up about 7:30, then I'm showered, coffee, start to do admin stuff by 8, 8:15. And then, we're dialing by 9 o'clock or we're in sales training. And then from there, we're on the phones all day till 9 o'clock. Then we're either on recruiting calls or, talking with agents till 10, 11 o'clock, if not still on the Zoom. And then, sometimes it's till midnight, but then, you go to bed, you eat your dinner real quick and repeat it all at least 6 days a week. Sometimes it takes 7, but the goal here is to build quickly. It's, not to rest.
So it's safe to say you're all in, right?
Oh, there's no doubt about it.
And dude, it's like what you see in people that have massive success here at a fast rate, like Tanner Mendelson, kids all in, and everything that I've seen in Tanner, I've been able to see exactly in you, bro. Like you're just all in. Like if it's not about business, if it's not about getting your guys trained, it's not about getting your guys paid, there's nothing to be talking about realistically. And I think you take that money making activities very seriously. And a lot of agents like forget that because like being at a different agency, dude, there's people out there paying $30 a lead, $50 a lead. There's people out there that don't have the right scripts, they don't have the right trainings, the right culture. Why do you think you were able to see like literally is it safe to say like a 10x in success? Like you're making the most money you've ever made, right?
Well, 100%. And so I'm not gonna, other agencies, they start their guys on comps that are honestly half a policy to us. Our base guys coming in are making more than, leadership positions in other agencies. So that's great first and foremost. And then I was one of those guys who had to pay $30 for an IUL lead, $40. So coming here was a blessing, being able to take advantage of the same high intent, high quality, fresh leads, for free with one script, right? That's building all different aspects of the sales call, the why, the introduction, you're holding the professionalism throughout the call, the three option close, right? It's all there for a reason. Other agencies, they've got, 18, 19-year-olds making scripts who can't even sell 15, 20K a month. There's 13, 14 different scripts. You have your IUL script, you have your bronze lead script, you have your XYZ script. And so having one script that hits all the points makes it way easier for guys coming in to succeed as well, because they're not worried about 100 different things. It's get good at one thing, get good at these 4 or 5 different objections, and that's all it takes to make money. It's
Right.
not having to overcomplicate it. Because the same way when selling, if you confuse your buyer, they're not going to buy. If you confuse someone brand new to the industry, they're not going to sell.
That's facts. We call it $1 million script for a reason. You know what I mean? Now, one of the things I seen from you and your guys specifically is a lot of people will make like 300 dials and call it a day, or like 400 dials and call it a day. What and how are you getting these guys, or what are you essentially teaching them, like as your standard for the dials they need to be hit and the presentations they need to hit, to where someone like Adam Ramsey, where he did, I believe, 4K in 4 months at his old company, to doing, 20K to 30K within his first month and a half being here.
Yeah, I think he did like 15K first week. The kid's nuts. But so that goes all the way back to the recruiting call, right? And so no matter where I've been at multiple different sales companies in insurance, not in insurance, I've been a top producer. And that's because I want the most, so I'm willing to work the hardest. And just me personally, I don't want to surround my guys who aren't all in, because that's either going to rub off on me, or like I don't like losers, right? I'm just blunt. I don't like losers. So I set the expectation from the recruiting call. I tell people we make a minimum of 500 dials per day. And realistically, 500 dials a day isn't that much, guys. Like if you're seriously sitting there working, if you aren't getting any pickups, you should be making a minimum of 100 dials an hour. That's 5 to 7 hours of work if you're making 5 to 700 dials an hour. If you work 12 hours a day, the rest of the time you're on pickups, it's really not that complicated, right? And so when you break it down to someone that way, they understand, oh, 500 dials isn't that scary, right? And then another big thing is I'm pouring into my people constantly from the mindset aspect, because I've had guys make 7, 8, 900 dials in a day and not close a deal, and letting them know the field owes them, telling them to just keep putting in the work, building that positive momentum, and everything else follows suit. This is sales. You're going to have 20K weeks, and then you're going to do the exact same thing next week and sell 7K. That's, sometimes how the game goes. And so teaching the ability to stay level to your guys emotionally, not getting high on the highs, not getting low on the lows. One, you have to have that yourself if you're going to be in leadership and in sales in general, but then you have to be able to pass that on to your guys, because this is another thing. When you start getting into leadership, everyone's problems are your problems. So now you have 5 guys, you have 5 times the amount of problems on top of your own. So you have to be ready for that if you want to be able to scale. Then if you want to scale quickly, you have to be ready to take on people's problems at an exponential rate as well.
100%, bro. And I think that's why you guys have had such quick success, is because you guys are all on the same page, going for the same cues at the end of it. And so, like, you're simply being a leader and wanting best for your guys. And that's literally all it takes, bro. Is because it is true. Like, sales, I wouldn't say that it's hard, but it's not easy. Like, there are days where it is going to be tough. There's days where, like you just said, they'll shoot 500, 600 dials and they won't get a sale or they won't get a presentation. How do you know to keep, I guess closers just know, but like, how would you know, like, to where you can be so confident in your guys, to where you haven't even been doing this for, 6 months to a year, but you're still confident and trust the system and the processes?
Well, I mean, the system speaks for itself. I think, the greatest testament to that is shout out King Mo. Guy didn't speak English, came here, writes, 80K, I think last month. It's insane. So that's just a testament to the system. And we put in work. You're only nervous and you have, self-doubt and anxiety about things when you're not putting in the work you need to. When you're turning every single stone and doing what you need to do on a day in and day out basis, you're not worried. You know what's going to come to you. The universe rewards everything that's positive and doing the right things. Right? If you're half in, you're going to get half in results. You and Ronnie say this all the time. If you treat it like a job, you're going to get paid like a job. If you treat it like a business, you're going to get paid like a business. Everyone on my squad has business aspirations. No one here wants to work till we're 65. I mean, some of my guys are younger than I am. Some of them are, a year or two older, but we're all relatively very young, right? And so it's stepping up and understanding the sacrifices now. This is one thing we like to say as well. Success is subtractive. It's what you don't do. It's not what you're doing, right? It's what the sacrifices you're going to make to elevate yourself and your team to the next level. So we
Mm,
sacrifice, and so we know we're going to win.
that was a bar. That boy's a poet on the low. Nah, bro, and I think like again, like just simply leading from the front, day in and day out, like it's really hard to lose in an environment like this. From the moment I met you at that Texas lock-in and meeting your guys, like I knew you guys had something special in you. Simply because, like, dude, when guys were getting dinner, you're like, yeah, guys want burgers for dinner. Like, I want to eat premium. Like, you guys are sitting there working, wanting to get to the next level, wanting to get better. And one thing I want to highlight about you, Luke, specifically, because not many people do this. Like, dude, they'll make, whatever, $6,000, $10,000, $15,000 in sales. And for the week, and they'll be like, I'm good. That's it. Like, one thing I distinguishedly noticed with you is like, dude, you'd have a massive day. Like, you'd sell 7K in one day, not a week. You'd sell 7K in a day. You'd hire two people. You'd call me up at like 10:30 at night. You'd write me like 2, 3 paragraphs. And then you'd call me and be like, yo, what can I be doing to do better? How could I have sold 10K? How could I have gotten another recruit? And I'd be like, Luke, like, are you okay, bro? Like, you're doing great. Like, I think you're on top producer status, but you'd be like, nah, dude, there's something I could be doing better. Why are you like that the way you are? And
Well,
constantly
I
wanting to
mean,
be
I
better.
I think you understand the wrestling background that kind of just ingrains the 1% better every day kind of mentality. But, some people, they compare to the guy to the left and to the right. I'm comparing myself to Ronnie. Like I'm trying to break Ronnie's record to 1 million a month. So it's like obviously, he was writing 60, 70K months. I'm writing 40, 45K months. I can be doing something better. What is it? So just looking at there's never enough. Sean Mike, he's doing his agency's doing 800 million a year. That's $1 million a month isn't shit in the grand perspective, right? There's
Right.
always a next level. And so just constantly wanting to get better. Because at this point, it's not even about money. The money's great. I put more money into my guys than I spend on myself. Nasser can attest to this. I've spent a lot into my team, and that's another reason why I've grown. I give people, if they only have $100 in their account, I'll pay for E&O insurance. It's whatever because, I understand the sacrifice. Not everyone's willing to go into debt for this opportunity. I myself at a previous agency had $200 to my name, put $2,000 onto leads and bet on myself. So I'm willing to give others because it's going to come back. What you give in this world is what you get. So you have to just constantly invest into yourself and your business.
Yeah. Like you said, and we say it all the time, if you treat this like a business, it's gonna pay you just like a business. But if you treat it like a hobby, it's gonna cost you like a hobby. And hobbies cost you money. They don't make you money. And I think that's where a lot of people get it messed up, man. But dude, honestly, this is the best business out there in the world. We're seeing guys like with no insurance experience, guys coming from any type of sales background or not, coming in here, plugging in and simply just calling people and following the script. Because again, like what we're doing is it's not rocket science. We're just plugging into the system and telling guys like, hey, can you do this? Because realistically, from what I've seen with you, and I think again, it's like goes back to the quality over quantity is like, dude, you're not just hiring just anybody and everybody. You know what I mean? Like if we bring someone into the agency and like they don't make any sales, they don't do any good, like one, they didn't make any money. Two, we didn't make any money. And most importantly, we wasted their time and our time. So like it doesn't make sense to bring someone into the industry if they're not looking to put in work. And like that's something I've noticed about you guys is like I'm not ever having to be like, yo, Luke, where are you at? Like, dude, if anything, it's the opposite. Like, it could be fun. It was 9:07 today. You called me. And if I didn't answer the first, you're double dialing, like, yo, where's the Zoom at? Where's this at? Like, I'm trying to get on it. Like, come on. I'd be like, yes, sir. And it's like, dude, you can't deny that kind of energy and that activities because like there's nothing that's gonna stop or get in your way from getting you paid or your guys paid. And I think you're ready to run through a wall for them just like they're ready to run through a wall for you. Simply because like it works.
100%. And when people ask you what's your why, yeah, you have your individual whys, but when you get into leadership, you have to realize it's on you to feed other families now. Nasser's responsible for, 100 plus people's families to eat and for their bills to get paid, for their car to have gas, right? And so when you embrace it like that, no matter how you feel, no matter what you have going on in your personal life or even in your personal business, whether it's production, your sales, it doesn't matter. You have to show up for your people because it's bigger than you. And when you embrace that into your business, when you're, up at 8 o'clock on Saturday because, you have to be, because what type of leader are you if you expect that from your people and that's what I want in an ideal agent, you can't sit there and do it yourself. It's hypocritical. It's crazy.
No, that's big facts. And another thing I want to touch up on is what would you say to someone, I guess, that's having a bad day or they're struggling or they might have had a bad week?
My guys know I'm very blunt with them. I tell them to put on their big boy pants and double their dials next week. And then one thing I say a lot is do so much work it's impossible to fail. Right? If it takes you 400, 500 dials to get one closeout on average, go make 1,000 dials that day, and it's impossible for you to not close one. Right? And so when you just embrace that with your people and they're like, all right, back to the drawing board, and we'll sit there and we'll role play. I have them write down the objections. They're not actually, they're not getting passed on their own. We have very strict numbers, right? That's one thing that's kind of spreading around. And I think we started, I'm going to take, credit for that one. So we write all our numbers all the time. So I understand where my guys are struggling, whether they have tons of, pickups and not enough presentations or closes, or they have, maybe not so many pickups, a lot of presentations, no closes. I understand where their issues are. And I'm constantly asking, what can I do for you to help you succeed? Because it's very simple when you make it, okay, X, Y, and Z. Success is just an equation. So when you have all the different KPIs of your business and your people's business, it makes it very easy to help them and train them where they need to be.
Facts. And another thing, like, dude, I don't even think this is a coincidence, but surprisingly, Luke and all of Luke's boys, Adam Ramsey, Neo, Jonah, Jake, Sean, or whoever's on there, bro, all those guys are on the sales mastery calls every single Monday, Wednesday, Friday. They're on the team meeting calls. They're on the trainings. They're on Zoom dial-in. And it's like, dude, it's the little stuff that we push and preach, but it's like all that stuff plays a big toll in someone's success. Would you agree?
100% because we're all calling the same people. We're all, using the same script. We're all doing the same exact thing. So at the end of the day, it's not the system, it's you. And it's not these massive percent points that separate the worst guy from the best guy. It's maybe, 10% overall. It's, 2% from the worst guy to an okay guy. It's another 2% from a good guy to a great guy. It's another couple percent from that great guy to the best guy. And so when you pick up each little percent point, along the way, whether that's sales training, whether that's intentionality, when you start doing everything right, you're going to progress, up the food chain of, where you're producing at. It's, just little things. It's not the big things that make you great. It's the little things. Just like sports, just like anything else in life. It's how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Nah, that's big facts, bro. Well, nah, you dropped some sauce on them. And before we open it up to a quick Q&A, is there any advice or anything you would, tell yourself going back, like if you were a brand new agent or if someone's starting their, first day tomorrow, what would you go and tell them?
Really reevaluate what you want and don't have a small picture. It's truly what do you want? And then come up with a detailed plan to get there and then actually execute on it. Because a lot of people say, oh, I want $1 million agency. I want to be a 40K a month producer. They want all these things, but they say that to feel better about themselves. They're not willing to do what it actually takes to get there. And stemming off of that, if you want to become a 40K a month producer or $1 million a month, agency owner, you have to become that person before you ever get that result. So you have to do the things a 40K a month producer does before you ever get that 40K IP, right? You have to become a $1 million a month agency owner before your team will ever IP that $1 million a month. And so I think that's my biggest, piece of advice there.
That's true. Bro, that goes back to like one of these OG sayings that you hear is like you're the same person, like, if you were to make 1,000 or $10,000, same thing like if you were to make $100,000. Like same like it's gonna show your true colors or you're gonna fold and it's gonna amplify those behaviors, man. But nah, Luke, it's been a blessing watching you grow. And I don't want to hold the meeting too long. I know some guys are fasting or they'll be breaking their fast soon. But if anyone has any questions, like the
Yeah, I
teachers
got
would
one
always
here
say,
for you.
oh,
Yo, Luke, question for you, man. 18 years old, you're killing it. You're seeing like a lot of money you've never seen before, right? How are you staying level headed to not get comfortable in the money you're seeing and like let production fall back? Be like, now I'm going to go on a vacation. I'm going to go do all these. What are you doing personally for that?
Well, I mean, this isn't my first rodeo, which is a blessing there. Success doesn't accept first-time applicants. I've been in insurance before, so I've seen some insurance money, not quite as high commissions, but I've seen 5, 6, 7K in a week before. I've probably, between crypto losses, all this, that, the other, I've probably fucked off 100 grand plus in my life. So like, I've done it, I've been there, done that. So now at this point, it's easy to not get complacent because one, when you really start playing with money, you understand how little 100 grand is in today's world. A million's the new 100 grand, right? Our parents could go buy a house cash and a car for 100 grand 30 years ago. We can't do that. So you have to look at it from a bigger perspective. And then two, I invest so heavily into my business. Yeah, I might have got deposited last week 16,000, but then Nasser's like Austin lock in, so then you go drop 5 or 6 to get the whole team there, right? So like how can you be complacent when you're constantly reinvesting? Because it's gonna keep coming back, but when you keep pouring in, how can you be complacent with the money?
Love that answer. Appreciate it.
No, no.
great question, Chris.
So, I kind of have a question. I'm new, completely, so I don't know really what this company is fully about. I was just wondering about the job opportunity, and I was told to join this call. So, I'm more wondering like, what should I expect from this? If I'm really interested in this.
Well, I like to be honest with people. Expect some of the highest highs and some of the lowest lows, right? This is a roller coaster. But if you put your head down and you work really hard for 90 to 180 days, your life will look completely different. And I can almost promise you that. If you make $500 a day, 6 days a week for, 90 to 180 days, and you truly dedicate yourself to this skill, you can print money, right? It's truly a license to print money. And you can, there's two different ways between your book of business and building an agency, whether that's just regular residuals or building an agency to build passive income here, right? And so this hits off every single box that you are looking for in a career, right? You have a retirement where, in 5, 6 years, you can be making 10, 15, 20K plus a month passively and essentially retire by the age of 30, right? So we work really hard. And so if you're not willing to work hard, this isn't for you. But if you want more out of life and you're willing to give more, this is the opportunity that'll give you as much as you give it. And that's kind of the way I like to sum it up.
Yeah. And I'd say, Diego, we got a system where if you plug in our top guys, they're closing 2 to 3 deals every single day. Our newer guys will close one a day, one every other day, just following the script, with your average commission being $500 to $1,000. But yeah,
And
hard work.
I want to
So to
attest to that,
perspective for you.
Diego, as well. Jake, my man, came in a week, 2 weeks ago, dialing from his frat house, literally still in college. He's like, if I make 5,000, I'll drop out. I'm like, oh, you'll probably do that in a week, maybe two. First week, he wrote like 9 grand, made 5 grand from his frat house. No sales experience. Literally was working at Jimmy John's before he got his insurance license. So as long as you're working hard and you're truly dedicating to it, you'll be on a wild roller coaster and your life will look completely different, brother.
Yeah. I was gonna say,
Okay.
Diego, this is a few things, bro. Like before this, I was a full-time college student on roll, working at a car dealership and an internship, working 70, 80 hours a week for like $24,000 a year. Now, to put it in perspective for you, I still work 70 hours every single week, but instead of that 24 grand, for the year, like I'll clear a little over 7 figures this year. And same thing for Luke, like he's gonna clear mid-high level 6 figures this year, simply because we're getting paid our worth for the work that we're doing, you know?
Yeah, that sounds very interesting, and like I'm down to put in the work. Honestly, I'm very excited to, if I'm able
Oh
to. But
yeah.
the
Join the
only
call
thing
on
is,
Wednesday.
oh yeah, for sure. My only wonder is how much is it because sorry, I forgot his name, but he said that it costed something to join this program.
His name is
That
Marvin.
was a different
Marvin.
agency.
You don't pay,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
you don't pay this agency nothing, bro.
Gotcha,
5K.
gotcha.
You have to get licensed through the state, bro. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. So
It's
for
like a
you,
hundred.
Diego,
Yeah.
I was gonna say I up in the Wednesday call. So this call right here that you joined right now, this is our
Yeah.
top producer meeting. So like we're highlighting Luke today for being, he sold over $80,000 in the last 2 months and taught 12 guys to do the same thing. So if that's not proof enough for you, I'm gonna stop you right there. Join the call Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, same time. But that one's gonna be a business overview meeting that breaks down the whole business as a whole, how we get paid, the carriers we work with, how to get licensed, and the whole 9 yards. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm just
Cool.
I'm just about ready to start because honestly getting me excited. So,
Hell yeah,
and
bro. I don't know what else you're waiting for, bro. You got a 20-year-old that just made 30, 40 grand. And same thing,
well,
like you looking at a 20 year
well,
old that's about to make
yeah.
double that here the next few
Luke, I
years.
got a question.
Yes, sir. What's up, my man?
Sure. So out of all the stuff you said about the recruiting side, what's like the biggest tip you can give someone, starting to recruit, trying to build a team to try to get like 1 to 2 recruits a week and just at a high level? Like what's the biggest tip you can give for that one? That side.
Well, obviously consistency. That has, that's a key factor to success in anything you're doing. So obviously consistently posting, right? And here's one thing I've learned because I built a team at a previous company, so I understand what works and what doesn't. You have to mix in, obviously the educational aspect, like kind of a little bit of what we're doing, but you have to sell the lifestyle as well. because I travel a lot. Obviously I've been to a couple lock-ins with, the Blueprint. I went to convention, this, that, the other. But before that, I've always been like doing dope things, right? And so selling the lifestyle, because talking about life insurance and sitting in an office for 12 hours a day is not sexy, right?
Yeah.
The things we get to do because of that sacrifice we make is, right? So get yourself go on a trip. Get your spend budget in nice things. Go spend $150 on dinner, but you're not doing that just to spend that money on dinner. You're doing that because if 1 to 4 people slide up, you get 1 or 2 people in the course. Long term, that's going to pay for that dinner and then some, right? So look at little things you can constantly be doing lifestyle wise as well to,
Yeah.
show, whether that's dinners, trips,
Yeah.
cars,
I think
watches, whatever. Just do dope shit, honestly.
Great question.
That makes sense. Yeah, that's
Yep,
really
I
good.
got something to touch on to that too. Um, I was gonna ask basically the same question. Um, but like on top of that, I feel like posting, like being consistent, and like posting every day, I feel like I'm getting kind of like repetitive with what I'm posting. So do you do anything to steer away from that, or like is that not a problem for you?
So let me answer this, Luke, real quick, and then you hit him with something. So the ones that are gonna watch you every single day and compared to the ones that just, click your story and forget it, you can't be worried about those people. Either one's gonna forget about it within the next, 5 seconds. So I'm here after watching Wiley Hawkins for over 18 months consistently post on Instagram. Ronnie Salem is here because I was consistently posting day in and day out for the last 16 months. And dude, there probably was like 500 of my followers that stopped watching my stories, but that's all right. Those 500 followers aren't the ones I was looking for. I was looking for that one Ronnie that I've planted that seed in, that he was sitting there watching it like my life was a reality show, and he was just sitting there asking, watching questions. So you can't post for that one person. You have to the consistency is the biggest part of it. Is like again like day in and day out. Like dude, there might be one person that's like happy the day you don't post, like praying on your downfall. But you'll never know, bro. Like someone could be watching your story for 6 months, a year, 2 years. They could be hurting down bad. And all it takes is for one more post for them to hit you up and be like, yo, like this just happened to me. How can I start? Yo, I need your help. And you just got to keep that mindset, man. Because,
Yeah,
like,
can
dude,
I comment? I'm sorry. Can I comment on this also when you finish?
yeah, go ahead. I'm done.
I'm sorry, I thought you done. So yeah, about what he said, some people gonna speak negative about you when you first start posting. And I had this, a lot of people, especially with my community, they start speaking, talking shit about us. And they've been doing this like for 3 4 months, and after that, after they seen the lifestyle, the traveling, the fancy dinners, the cars, the dressing, the everything, they start hitting me up looking for opportunity, looking for a job after they've been talking shit for months. So just be consistent. Show them that you're doing this, what are you doing in daily basis, and one day you will see them, they hitting you up and looking for jobs. Do not be afraid of them. Do not be scared or like they're gonna say shit, because people gonna say shit regardless. But just keep
Oh, but the finish, I
posting,
got to
being
upload, kid.
consistent. Yeah,
The finish.
and then you be him, and they become your new agents. You
Respects.
know, let's
But nah,
go.
Shan, don't ever let anyone tell you anything different, bro. Like consistency is gonna be the best, bro. Like just like in sales, it's the same thing for recruiting. You have to. And people want to see the nice shit, bro. People want to see the numbers. People want to
Yeah.
see, the traveling, like Luke was just saying, you know?
Yeah, I appreciate it, bro. Thank you.
Then obviously stay consistent with what you're posting, but change up what you're posting as well while posting the same message, right? So maybe one day you focus on posting all your deals. You just hit a hat trick, you post 3 approvals with the calculators. Then the next day maybe you're posting, okay, this brand new agent just got paid. Then the next day it's a nice dinner. Then you're constantly cycling different things in, and it's not just approval, people looking at an Americo screen every day. No one wants to see that. But consistency doesn't mean repetitiveness. Two different things.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I wanted to step in and ask a quick question if that's all right.
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay. So, my question for you, Luke, is maybe I missed this point. What are you doing for you and your team? Obviously, you guys are doing the training on the business itself, but like mindset, keeping your head right, making sure you're not, falling on the downs and getting too high on the highs. I don't know if that was slightly touched, but do you guys have any sort of books, any audio that you listen to consistently that you would recommend anyone else listen to keep their mind straight in the business?
So this might be a somewhat controversial answer. Listening to a book, that's not going to, fix your mindset. Like listening and reading, that's not my thing. My solution is put in so much work, it's impossible to have self-doubt, right? When you put in 1,000 dials, if you're putting in 1,000 dials consistently every day, you just know there's not a doubt in your mind. The confidence that small wins are going to build up for you. So my advice is to stack small wins with your team, breathe positivity into them. Okay, boom. Oh, maybe it's a new agent. He hasn't quite closed yet, but he's never got to numbers before and he just got to numbers. That's a win. This guy just beat an objection they've never beat before. That's a win. This guy made 1,000 dials. I get them excited. Like, look, you made 1,000 dials and didn't close today because guess what? Now you're going to have a hat trick waiting for you before noon tomorrow, right? And so it's the way you're looking at things. You can either look at things in a positive mindset, the glass is half full, or the glass is half empty. And so the way your team looks at things are going to be the same way you're looking at things. So ultimately that starts at the top and you have to fix your outlook before you can expect your team to change theirs.
Facts. Now, like he said, I mean, something I learned to kind of touch up on that is no matter what you have going on, like business doesn't have feelings. So especially if you're a leader and you have to be there for the front line of your guys, you're the one that's gonna have to do a lot of the leading. But I think like just always knowing if you're putting the consistent activity, the rewards will always follow no matter what. Like it's sales. You will have a bad day. Like you might have a bad day or two. But if you're constantly controlling the controllables, like hitting all the dials, putting everything in your favor, it's really, really hard to have a bad, week or even a bad month, and I think just about everyone that's a top producer can attest to that.